U.S. military strikes in Venezuela. Maduro captured. Trump says U.S. will run the country. In a dramatic escalation of U.S.-Latin American tensions on January 3, 2026, the United States conducted a large-scale military operation in Venezuela, capturing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores. President Donald Trump declared that the United States would temporarily govern Venezuela until a safe, proper, and judicious transition of power can occur. Mint+1, the military operation. According to U.S. officials, the mission was a coordinated assault using air, land, and sea forces to incapacitate Venezuelan military capacities rapidly. Trump described the assault as an extraordinary military operation and one of the most powerful shows of American military capability in recent history. Mint General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said the mission involved over 150 aircraft and months of planning, and that Maduro and his wife surrendered and were taken into custody without U.S. military fatalities. Mint Trump stated that Maduro and Flores would face criminal charges in the United States, with Maduro expected to be brought before a New York court, though defenses raised questions about the legality and international law implications of the operation. Mint+1, U.S. intentions, governance and oil. In a press briefing from his Mar-a-Lago estate, President Trump was clear that Washington plans to administer Venezuela's government functions temporarily. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition, he said, signaling a period of direct U.S. involvement in Venezuelan governance. GEO News Trump also emphasized the economic dimension of the intervention, particularly Venezuela's vast oil reserves, which have languished due to years of mismanagement under Maduro's government. He outlined plans for American oil companies to enter Venezuela, invest billions in fixing deteriorated infrastructure, and begin production and exports, aiming to revitalize the industry. Mint+1, threat of further military action. While describing the initial operation as successful, President Trump warned that the U.S. stands ready to stage a second, much larger attack if needed, underscoring that military force remains an option should resistance persist or new threats arise. Mint Trump also insisted that U.S. forces were not afraid of boots on the ground, leaving open the possibility of greater troop deployments if necessary to stabilize the situation. CBS News legal and political repercussions. International law scholars and world leaders sharply criticized the U.S. action, arguing it violated Venezuela's sovereignty and set a worrying precedent for military intervention. The United Nations expressed deep alarm, and nations including China and Russia condemned the strikes as breaches of international law. This day lived +1 domestically. Some U.S. lawmakers questioned the constitutionality of conducting a major military operation without prior congressional authorization, raising debates over executive war powers. AP News response inside Venezuela. In Caracas, explosions were reported as the strikes took place, and Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez denounced the U.S. action as an aggression against Venezuelan sovereignty. Meanwhile, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez declared herself interim president, rejecting U.S. authority and demanding Maduro's release, deepening the political crisis and confusion over legitimacy. The Guardian+1 regional and global reactions across the globe have been sharply divided. Supporters of the U.S. action view the removal of Maduro as a potential end to years of authoritarian rule and economic collapse in Venezuela. Critics warn of neo-imperialist overreach, likening the intervention to past U.S. military actions in Latin America, and cautioning it may fuel long-term instability. Countries across Latin America, Africa, and Asia have issued statements urging respect for sovereignty and peaceful resolution. Reddit. What happens next? The future of Venezuela remains uncertain. With Maduro detained and Venezuelan governance in flux, the U.S. plans to play a central role in shaping the country's transitional government. Trump asserts that the U.S. will oversee this process until a stable, democratic leadership can be established, a pledge that will be watched closely by governments worldwide, human rights organizations, and Venezuelans both inside and outside their country. Mint.